Here are some crochet hacks that are going to save you both time and yarn. So the first one we're going to do is how to save yarn. Did you know that when you use a bigger hook, you use more yarn than when you use a smaller hook? So if you're doing a certain project and you have a little amount of yarn, instead of using a bigger hook, you may as well use a smaller hook to save yarn. This is a 2.5 and this is a 4mm hook. Let's see how many rows I can make with this hook and this other hook. So with the 2.5mm hook, I was almost completing the single crochets row. So this is the 4th row, which I was almost completing. So that's about 4 rows. Let's see with the same amount of yarn what I'm going to work on using a 4mm hook. So with the 4mm hook, I'm almost completing row 3. So I think the higher you go when it comes to the hooks, the lesser rows you're going to do. So if I used a 5, maybe I'll use like 2 rows. The next hack is when you have a thin yarn like this one and you want to work on a project and you feel like the yarn is too thin, instead of going to buy new yarn, you can always attach 2 strands together to make it a little bit thicker so that you can work on any project, even a blanket. Like this one I'm working on right now, I'm doing a blanket. So by attaching 2 strands together, you can make it thicker and you won't have to buy new yarn, and then you can just work on it using 2 strands of yarn. The next hack is for weaving in ends. Like every crocheter doesn't like to weave in ends. So how to prevent yourself from weaving in ends? When you're changing color, for example, so this is the last stitch here. When you're changing color, so you're going to insert your hook, pull through 2, and then when you're joining in the new color, like that, pull through the other 2. So when you're working on this new color, instead of just working it as we usually do, take the tail end of that new color, place it at the back of the item you're crocheting, like that, and then you're going to crochet over that tail, so that by the end of your project you don't have so much yarn tails to like weave in and tie knots. Especially when you tie knots, your work doesn't look neat. So just work over it like that. So as you can see, we finished this row. We've worked over that tail end. As you can see, it looks neat, and we've just covered it, and we finished that row like that. We won't have to come back and start tying in ends. The next hack is when you are working on like amigurumis, or you're using projects that need you to start with a circle, making a circle. Instead of chaining 4 and joining, which most people do, you can always start by making a magic ring. I find a magic ring looking so neat and not bulky, because when you chain 4, let me show you, at times it looks kind of bulky and it's not neat, and also it's just like you're using a lot of time to chain and join. So you chain 4 and then you join here. So now that you're using this as your magic circle, when you work in your single crochets, let me just use this as an example first. So when you pull your yarn, as you can see, it cannot like pull completely. Like, see, there's a little bit of bulkiness after you're done with pulling it. You can see this bulkiness that it's here. So when you continue with the other rows, there'll be some bulkiness at the top of your circle, this one here, because of the chain 4. So to avoid this, for you to have a clean look and for you to like save time, because at times you're just trying to find where the middle of the circle is. At times you confuse and place it somewhere else, and you end up like trying to do it again and again. Instead of doing all that, just work on a magic circle. For those who don't know how to do a magic circle, I have a tutorial on that. You make an X, pull your yarn from the middle, bring it out like that, insert your hook, turn it, and then you have your magic circle. So you chain 1, and now you see you're working on something that is a little bit thinner. So because it's thin, when you pull your string, the circle will be neat, like it won't look bulky because the nini was a little bit thinner, if you get it. So let's just finish the end, slip out here. So you see for this one, when you pull through, so as you can see, it's a little bit neater. Okay, it looks neater, and then it's so easy to identify where the middle of the circle is. The next tip is when it comes to cutting your yarn. At times you're on the go and you can't find any scissors, or you're even at home and you can't see your scissors. Just find anything metal, like something like this bracelet or your necklace, or even a nail cutter, anything that has like a metal sharp place, and use that to cut your yarn, just like this. The next tip is when you're doing color work, or when you are doing something like a graph gun whereby you need to change color, instead of having so much yarn all over the place and they're always tangling, you can always use something like a bobbin for your yarn. So just take a bobbin if you have one, and then you can just wrap your yarn around it, and then you can do this for the other colors. Let's say you're doing 3 colors, you can just do it this 3 times. And then when you place your bobbin there, and then you have the other several ones, you can just work with these ones, and then it moves so easily. You can see that like it moves around so easily. So this saves you time. Because at times when you're using these balls and then they're tangling each other, now you have to spend a lot of time trying to detangle the yarn, and that wastes a lot of time. So use a bobbin to just untangle and make sure that your work looks organized. The next step is that if you're a beginner and you waste a lot of time frogging your work, to make sure that you save time, make use of your stitch markers, and here's why. Most time when you're a beginner, when you're working on your rows, so let me just so most time as a beginner, especially this happened to me when I was starting out. When you're starting when you're still a beginner, when you're working on your rows, when you turn your work and then you work on that one like that, most of the time when you're coming back, you usually don't know the starting row and the starting chain or stitch and the ending stitch. So to be able to avoid frogging your work, because what happens is that when you work on your projects, you'll find that your projects takes a different shape. Like instead of it looking at like a rectangle, it ends up looking like a trapezium, because what you're doing is you are increasing at times, or you're decreasing, because either you will skip it or you'll do more stitches, so your project ends up looking like a trapezium. So what I was saying is, let me get to the end of this so that I can show you. So at times when you are a beginner, for example this stitch here, okay, this stitch here, most of the time as a beginner, you don't know if this is supposed to be a stitch or if you're supposed to leave it because it's not a stitch. So at times it's really confusing as a beginner. So what I was saying is, for you to be able to like know which stitch this is, you always use a stitch marker when you're starting out, so that it's not difficult for you until you're able to grasp it. Okay, so like that. After you've done that, when you're turning on the next row, you've done this one here, so make sure you use a stitch marker to mark that stitch, so that when you come back, you'll be able to know which stitch that was, which stitch is at the very end of the row. And then you just continue. Okay, so that by the time you come back on this side, you'll know which stitch was the last stitch. And you can also do this on both sides. So start out like this, so that you can save time, because when you find out that your project has got as a trapezium, you'll end up frogging. And also, apart from this, you can always count your stitches, especially if it's a small item like this one that only requires like about 15 stitches. You can always just count. Although counting is so tiresome, because at times you're watching something like that, so counting ends up to be a little bit tiresome. But then when you start, you can always count. If counting is so difficult for you, you can always use stitch markers at the end and at the beginning of every row. The next tip that you're going to do is when it comes to turning. So when you've done the last stitch, most of the time what we do is we chain 1 or chain 2, so that we can be able to turn. So you can always skip this step of chaining before you turn. This can help you save time, because you'll be skipping that step of chaining, and it will also give you a neater like the edge of your work will look more neat. So for example, I want to chain on this side, and then I won't chain on this side, so that you can see the difference. Okay, so here we've chained 2, and then on the other side I won't chain, so that you see the difference. So when you don't chain, because this work I wasn't chaining, it looks more neat. Okay, so let me do like 5 rows whereby one side I'm chaining and the other side I'm not chaining, so that I can show you the difference. So when you get to the end, instead of chaining, you just turn your work without chaining, and then you just give it a little bit of a stretch like that, and then you immediately, from that last stitch that you did, that is where you insert your hook. Okay, that's how you do it. So let me do about 5 rows, and then I'll show you how it looks. So this is the edge whereby I wasn't chaining, and then this is the edge where I was chaining. So as you can see, this other edge looks a little bit like bumpy, but then this is just like so clean. I hope you can see that. The edge is just so clean, and then here it looks a little bit bumpy. Okay, so apart from this saving you time, the best part of it is that it makes your work look easier, because someone might say chaining 1 or 2 just costs you like 3 seconds. That's not that much time. But then imagine if you're working on a blanket or something, when you add up all that, it ends up taking you a lot of time. And also in a way, you're saving yarn. Yeah. And then the other hack is about using leftover yarn. Like this blanket, I'm just making it from leftover yarn. So if you have leftover yarn lying around in your home, use that to make some of your projects like blankets. Like I made a whole blanket by using leftover yarns that I usually have from the projects that I do, especially the orders that I get from my customers. At times you find that you have so much leftover yarn that can also fill a bucket. So instead of like throwing them out and or just keeping them in your drawer and they're just filling your house, you can always use those leftover yarn to make something beautiful, like a blanket. You can use it to make granny squares and make tops, or like pants, or like sweaters, anything that you can do with a granny square. Or you can use it to make small things that you can give to people, like keychains and that. So don't throw over leftover yarn, use it to make something beautiful. Let me show you something that I just made recently from leftover yarn. So I just made this pair of pants. So as you can see, this is made from granny squares. So I use the leftover yarn to make granny squares and make myself these pants. So use your leftover yarn to make something beautiful. And I also made a certain doormat. I made that doormat completely from leftover yarn. So use your leftover yarn to make things around your house instead of throwing them out, or instead of them just filling your space. The other thing is, when it comes to making your foundation chain, instead of making the traditional foundation chain whereby you're just chaining and then you start working on the first row, try and make either you can make the chainless foundation chain. You can check tutorials on YouTube on how to make a chainless foundation chain, but you don't have to chain. You just start immediately by working on the single crochets. You can make that. Or when you make your foundation chain, you can as always work in the back bumps of the foundation chain, if you get what I'm saying. Like for example, so this tip is just for you to have a neat looking work. So when it comes to the chainless foundation chain, that will help you save time. But then when it comes to working on the back bumps, this will help you have a neat looking piece. Okay, just the back of the chain here, that is where you work your single crochet, whichever stitch you're using. Although it usually takes time, but then by the end of it, it looks really beautiful. So you see, instead of, because the other traditional chain, I don't know, but usually has a curve that doesn't look so nice, and at times it curves like this. So crocheting on the back bumps gives it a little look. But then you can check on making a chainless foundation chain that will help you save time. So that was it for our tips today. I hope it really helped you. You can let me know which other tips you guys are using to make crochet easier for you to save time and save yarn. And you can also let me know which of these tips are you already using while working on your projects. And you can also tell us down in the comment section which other tip can we use to save yarn and save time. So that was it for today, and thank you for watching this tutorial. I'll see you on the next tutorial. The other tip is that when you're working with a different color, make sure that the first row is always on the right side of the, let's say for example this top, the first row is on the right side of the top, and then the second row will be on the wrong side. And this gives it this clean look, because if you did the first row on the right side, this is how the first row will look like. Even when it comes to changing the color, the first row on the right side, you see, so the first row of every color that you change should be on the right side. That gives it a clean look when it comes to working on a different color.